For Victims and Villains, my name is Josh.
And I'm Ashley.
Today we are heading into D-Day. This is Pressure.
We are delving into the 72 hours leading up to D-Day. So this is the 72 hours before June 6th, 1944. We get a look at General Eisenhower and how he planned to win the war, essentially.
My general thoughts on Pressure is that this is a really slick, fast-paced thriller that really kind of drew me to the edge of my seat. I know you mentioned it not being your typical action film that we kind of normally expect from this genre, but I think that's what really helped it work in its favor for me. I think this film just moves at a breakneck pace, but there's never any time where the film feels like it lags or it's moving along too slowly. It just kind of has this, throws you right into it, and that really helped, I think, with the performances, the score, and the anxiety that I felt kind of right after probably the first 5 minutes of this movie.
I really enjoyed this movie. I was definitely a little more engaged in it. I love historical dramas. It was really cool for me. It felt very nostalgia for me, just because that was something that I studied in school. So really getting to see the 72 hours leading up to D-Day, like, it was something that we always covered, but it wasn't necessarily something we spent a lot of time on until our trip overseas. It gives you a whole like higher, bigger appreciation for just what this movie did. It was just incredible for me.
I think for me, one of the things that I typically do as a cinephile is I typically try and steer away from this subgenre of film. This was kind of the first time in a long time that I've engaged with this genre. And I engaged with it to a point where there were so many moments within this film that you feel the weight of war that I think a lot of us kind of ignore, or we kind of gloss over in the same way that we gloss over the rates of suicide here in the United States. And
I think there's something to be said about that. You know, you really can have just a little gist of history and kind of know, like, oh, D-Day, yeah, that was an important thing, and still appreciate like that moment. And you talk about, what war really feels like, and there's just several just intense moments where you could just like feel it, even though it's complete silence in both of those moments, I feel like. But even in some of the loudest moments, there's anxiety beyond belief, and it's not many movies that can make me feel that kind of level of anxiety alone.
I think with Andrew Scott and Brendan Fraser, they kind of have this rivalry in the film where they don't really see eye to eye, and that also really added a lot of tension that was really woven throughout the course of this. But there are these silent moments that I kind of want to just address real quick, because this movie had some like really interesting comedic beats that I was not expecting. They really felt like a breath of fresh air.
I love the comedic moments. I have to disagree with you on Stagg and Eisenhower's characters kind of not being, being each other's villain. I would say it's more Crick and Stagg. Crick is this general to Eisenhower, has been with him, has never really strayed him wrong, and my favorite line in that whole movie is, he just gets lucky.
I think Chris Messina, who plays Crit in this, is also a notable performance in this movie as well. He's he kind of feels like he's a little bit for fuel for the fire. He also kind of felt a little bit one note for me. I think his performance is still good, but it just also kind of felt like he was mildly underdeveloped, in my opinion.
I do agree with his performance. It kind of gave me the same kind of vibes for anyone who's seen Julie and Julia. It's almost the exact same character, just a little more annoying. So for those of you who have seen that, you have that kind of Christmas scene to look forward to. We talked a little bit about the silences, but I think what was also very, very powerful for me was the music and just the composition of everything. Volker Bertelmann is the wonderful composer for this. And if you recognize that name, it is because he actually also did all of the music in All Quiet on the Western Front, which he has an Academy Award and a BAFTA Award, which is quite an accomplishment to have for being a musical composer. It didn't feel overly like heavy, like all.
I really do agree with you in terms of when we're talking about the composition here. I think that Volker does a great job here. Well, let's run this one through our Rorschach rating scale. I'm going to go ahead and give Pressure a 4 out of 5. Overall, I thought this movie was incredibly made. The pacing is top tier. Performances across the board are good. There are a few character development issues that I do have with some of the secondary characters in here. But I think given the more how fast paced and technical this movie is very easy to overlook those.
For me, it's a 4.5 out of 5. I really wish I could say it's a 5, but I got really hyped from watching all the trailers. I know you don't really ever do any trailers, or you try to go in without trailers.
Yep.
I was really hyped, and obviously the movie is the first 72 hours before D-Day, and in the trailer, obviously, there's going to be something about a meteorologist, something about the weather. It's in the trailer, but the paratroopers, that is the one thing it was lacking. As someone who's a history nerd and a history buff, D-Day was catastrophic historically. This is just known. This is well-known information for paratroopers. The winds were too high. Their course got just so adjusted. And that's where it fell short, is it really does focus on land and sea. And that's not what D-Day was. So historical accuracy, is it there? Yes, it's there. Is it all it could be? Absolutely not, especially when you're making a big deal about weather and one of the main teams that was affected by that weather being the paratroopers. So for me, 4.5 out of 5. Still a great movie, but if you're a history buff, don't get your panties in a twist.
Pressure opens up this Friday, May 29th. If you guys got a sneak peek to see it, let us know below what you guys thought, or comment below other movies in this genre that I should watch. If you guys want to, I'll do reviews here for them on the channel as well. But in the show notes below, you guys will find links to check out where Pressure is playing in your area from Focus Features, as well as links to our mental health resource library, more movie reviews like this, podcasts on our podcast network, and that subscribe button. So until next time, remember to stay classy.